We're live. We're live. Peace and blessings. Black Queens Resource Network Group. My name is Bilal Hassan, and I'm welcoming everyone to the Muslim BLAQUE Ramadan Experience program for this evening. Happy Sunday evening. I hope everyone is having a blessed Sunday. We're just here. We're excited to talk about the month of Ramadan, the blessed month of Ramadan. And before we get there, before we start the conversation, just a little fun fact or interesting fact by myself. Of course, born and raised here in Queens, New York. A fun fact about me, I've been watching the Weather Channel since I was 8 years old. And now I'm going to toss it to my other calls for this evening.
Assalamu alaikum, peace and blessings, everyone. My name is Zalika, and I'm very happy to be here and discuss Ramadan with you guys. I'm also from Queens, born and raised, Jamaica, Queens to be exact. And a fun fact about me is I love strawberries, anything strawberry, the fruit, the flavor, the cupcake, the ice cream. I love strawberries.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Shaniyat. I'm from Jamaica, Queens. Fun fact about me, I'm a professional rugby league player. So I've been playing rugby for the last 8 years of my life. And this is the first year I'm going to be playing in the professional league. So that's about me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Peace
and blessings, everyone. Greetings. My name is Aasiyah Tiffany. Most of you may already know me. I'm a moderator in the BLAQUE Resource Network group. And I am happy to be here. I'm a Queens, I grew up in Queens, right? So Queens, I came from Jamaica. And that's another, I guess, fun fact that I'm Jamaican. I think a lot of people think, oh, you're Muslim. Wait, there's no Jamaican Muslim. You're right. There's like 10 of us, but we're here. So I'm glad.
Great. Excellent. Celebrating the diversity in Al-Islam, which is a very diverse religion. So tonight, we're talking about the blessed month of Ramadan. And so we're here to answer anyone's questions about this month of Ramadan. And first and foremost, I think we want to begin with just saying what is Ramadan? And Ramadan comes from an Arabic word, to burn. It's the burning. And during this time, we are not just burning to lose weight. For all those who want to lose weight, that can happen if you want it to happen, right? You can lose weight. Well, the most important part is that, the crucial part is that we are burning away old habits. I want to begin old habits that if old habits in terms of language that you might have been using that perhaps was vulgar, behavior that was perhaps immoral or bad. It's basically a spiritual time to shed away old habits that are not healthy for us, and to develop newer habits and become closer to the Creator, closer to Allah. You're going to hear us use these terms a lot. Allah just means God. So we're just going to define some of these terms as we go along during this broadcast. So during this time, we are, the blessed month of Ramadan is when the month is blessed, because this is when the revelation was revealed, the Holy Quran, the last revelation sent down to mankind, to Prophet Muhammad, prayers and blessings be upon him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's why it's a very blessed month. It's the month of Quran. It's the month of revelation. So we will be reading a lot of Quran during this time, during these 29 to 30 days of fasting. So basically, again, Ramadan comes from the Arabic word to burn. It's a fire. It's a challenge for us, a spiritual challenge for us to burn off. And in the hopes that after the completion of the 29 to 30 days, the aspiration is that we are renewed. We come out as a new person, as a brand new person, with a clean slate, God willing, that our sins and faults will be forgiven and we can start new again. And does anyone want to add to that conversation point?
Yeah, I can jump in. I'm sorry, Asif, did you want to say something? Okay. Yeah, just mirroring everything that Bilal said. Ramadan is a time for us to, it's a time of forgiveness. It's split into 3 parts. The first 10 days is mercy. The second 10 days is forgiveness from God. And the last 10 days is freedom from the fire. So all throughout Ramadan, there's multiple opportunities for us to pray, increase good deeds, give charity. We just try to be a better version of ourselves. We try to refrain from things that take us away from getting closer to God, whether that means that we have to walk away from an argument, whether that means that, we disengage from worldly things. Some Muslims, they may not watch television, or they may not go to the movies or things like that, just so that they can keep their focus on the Creator and their fasting, because it's such a personal connection between us and our Creator. So, we as Muslims, we look forward to Ramadan because it's a chance of a spiritual rebirth. All the opportunities that, God gives us to basically worship Him and forgive our sins and have mercy on us. Who are we not to be excited for that opportunity? So we look forward. It comes around once a year in the Islamic calendar. It's the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. And we just look forward to that opportunity to just become better people. And we hope that our habits that we've implemented during Ramadan transfers outwardly after Ramadan is over.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I mean, what's so beautiful about Ramadan is that it is a gift for a second chance, because it's so easy to get up. It's so easy to get caught up, right, in this world of, and just to sin is just so easy, right? We get very caught up in our everyday lives, and Ramadan's a good time just to kind of recenter ourselves, not with just ourselves, but also our loved ones, people who may have fallen out with. And it just creates a better version. We just grow from it. And I know personally, every year, I feel like I've been getting closer to the Creator. I feel like I've been becoming a better person, and it's just a really blissful time that I enjoy sharing it with everyone.
I would completely agree. Yeah, just piggybacking off everyone else, it's a very personal experience, as Zalika just shared. Like it's so for me, Ramadan is always like, yes, this is Ramadan, but Ramadan is a journey back to myself. Because when we speak about getting closer to our Creator, our Lord, for me, that is getting closer to myself. That's going back to what feels good, our aura. That's going back to the fitra, what's natural, right? What's normally happening. And so every Ramadan, I like, we get distracted in like, okay, I need to do this for work. I need to do this for especially me. I'm a servant. I'm everywhere. I'm over here. So for Ramadan, it's like, no, self-care, right? This is a self-care month. Like, the fasting, what I'm going to put in my body, because now I have to be mindful of what it is that I'm eating early in the morning and what I'm eating in the afternoon, what I'm listening to. I'm much more mindful of everything, right? So, and mindfulness, right? That's the big, so for me, it's self-care. It's going back to myself, getting closer to my Lord. Yeah. All right.
No, and
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, it's just a gentle reminder of how, as I was, touching upon earlier, that we go through so much in our everyday lives, that Ramadan is just a gentle reminder that everything is not as bad as it seems, right? Because we are, we're fasting for these 30 days or so, but it's also a reminder that there are so many poor people out there who are living these struggles 365 days a year, and we're only doing it for 30 days, right? So it's our time to just really be grounded and humble ourselves, and just to, we are all one mankind at the end of the day, and it's something that we kind of have to remind ourselves every now and then.
That's excellent. That's an excellent point. Excellent reminder for us all. And Ramadan is the fourth pillar of Al-Islam. We have 5 pillars in our way of life that hold the basic foundation of Al-Islam, that hold it up. So Ramadan is the fourth pillar of Al-Islam. And there's also, according to the Quran, it says that the Ramadan fasting is prescribed to you, just as it was prescribed to the people before you. And meaning that the people before you is referring to the people of the book, our beloved Christian brothers and sisters and Jewish brothers and sisters also observe a fast. Those who follow Moses or Musa alayhi salam, prayers and blessings be upon Moses, Prophet Moses, observe fasting. So does the Christians as well. Everyone has a different version of what their fast may look like, but the idea of the fast is pretty similar in that regard. So I just want to make that connection as well, because fasting is something that is generally in the Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, is something that is observed in different times according to that religious practice. So just wanted to make that connection for those who are watching. What else? What else can we say about Ramadan? I mean, there's so much that we can say.
I have a question for you, Bilal.
Yes.
The other 4 pillars.
Oh, good question. The other 4 pillars are: 1, our declaration of faith. What I mean by that is the shahada. The statement that we say when we want to become Muslim, which is, I bear witness that there's no God worthy of worship except Allah, or God, and I bear witness that Prophet Muhammad, prayers and blessings be upon him, is his last prophet. That is the declaration. Then after the declaration, the first pillar, the second pillar is prayer, or salah. 5 daily prayers we pray, 5 daily obligatory or mandatory prayers that we pray, 5. That's that. Then we go into third pillar, which is charity, or zakat. And that is to be paid 2.5% of your yearly earnings, as we try to do that. And I'm not going to get into that, but zakat is the economic system. It's the economic system, the social economic system, to balance the scale between those who earn more and those who earn less. But that's a whole nother conversation for another time. The fourth pillar, of course, is Ramadan. And then the fifth pillar, the last pillar, is Hajj, which is the pilgrimage to Mecca and Saudi Arabia, to the Kaaba, the house that was built by Ibrahim and his son Ishmael.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There was a question in the chat, so I was just making.
Oh, great. Excellent. Please keep that. Oh yeah, I meant to say disclaimer. We will be answering questions throughout the night, so feel free to post your questions and stop us any important time when we can answer your questions. We don't mind doing that. So I think that's a good foundation of what is Ramadan. Let us shift gears a little bit and talk about what we do during Ramadan. What are the practices? What are we doing during this period of time of fasting? Anyone want to start that conversation? What do we do during Ramadan?
Sure. So basically we start off in the morning before sunrise. Before the sun rises, we have a pre-dawn meal. It's called suhoor. Suhoor can be anything that you choose. It can be dates and water. It can be your last night's dinner. Some people feel that, certain foods hold them over longer. So there's actually a science. There are some Muslims who studied the science of foods, and they've come to learn that certain things like grains, dates, things like that will hold you over longer throughout the day. We try to intake lots and lots of water, because during our fast through the day, there is no water. So during the period before the sun rises, we intake a lot of water. We have our pre-dawn meal. We offer the first prayer of the day called Fajr. We make that's our first salat that we make, or prayer that we make. After that, it's often at times that Muslims may read some Quran. We may do some du'as. We may remember Allah. It's called dhikr. Just the remembrance of Allah, saying his names. He has 99 names that we call upon him with. After that, it's common, especially now, if you're an adult, you might have a job, so you may lay back down, get some rest, wake up in a couple of hours to prepare for work or school. Throughout the day, we have another salat or prayer that comes in called Zohr. And then we have a midday prayer that's referred to as Asr. And then the final, not the final prayer, but the prayer that we make when it's time to break our fast is referred to as Maghrib. And during that time, we break our fast. Typically, we break our fast with something light, again, water and dates. And dates are very historic in Islam. Our Prophet ate dates often, so we try to emulate the Prophet. So we may break our fast with some dates, some water, and then we'll offer the prayer. After the prayer is completed, then we have our dinner or our meal, whatever it is that we're going to eat for the day. Shortly afterwards, the last salat, referred to as Isha, that last prayer comes in, we make that. And then during Ramadan, we also offer additional prayers called Taraweeh prayers. So we will make extra prayers, and those prayers can take up to, the wee hours of the morning to complete sometimes. And then we start the cycle again. And throughout the day, we just want to make sure that we incorporate good deeds. We want to incorporate extra. So for example, if when I saw a post in this group where somebody needed clothing for children, I'm already thinking, it's Ramadan and I want to do more. So throughout the day, we're already thinking, how can we do more? How can we be better people? So this is the cycle of good deeds, prayer, worship, remembering God, reading our Quran, rinse and repeat. And before COVID, this Ramadan is a little different now because we're in the middle of a pandemic. So, but Ramadan's prior, oftentimes we would go to the mosque to break our fast. Most people are home breaking their fast now, but that was a beautiful sight to see all the Muslims come out down the street. Everyone's been fasting. It's just a time of unity. You feel the sereneness in the mosque while the prayers are being led by the imam. And everyone is and you just know that everyone all around the world is on the same accord. Everyone has been fasting. Everyone, has been abstaining from different things. Everyone has been trying to give good deeds and read Quran. So for me, I just feel like this Ramadan, this is the second Ramadan that we are in the middle of this pandemic with. So for me, it's just been a little different, but it's actually been beneficial because I have been able to be home and just focus solely on worship. But I do miss being in the mosque. I do miss being amongst the Muslims. So, hopefully I'm hoping that things might look better within the next couple of weeks. The last 10 days of Ramadan is the days where the blessings multiply. So a lot of people generally like to be in the mosque at that time because that's when the most rewards are prevalent. So I don't know what the world's going to look like, but I do remember and recall and miss how Ramadans were pre-COVID.
Yeah, I think we all feel that way. It's with everything that's changing around this world. Something so close to us, so dear to us, has also had a different, feel to it now. But the meaning, right, the rooted feeling of it is still there. So for me personally, even during the peak of the pandemic, I feel like I'm becoming more spiritual. I've been reading the Quran more, and it's helped me. Create my faith become a little bit stronger. I've had, it is a struggle. Let's be real. It could be a struggle to fast because like many of us, we are working, we have families, and we have long entire days. But I think that what's so beautiful is that we have so many viewers right now who are tuning in to learn about the religion, and people are so much more accepting of Islam. And I think that's so beautiful. Even with my job, I also work as a substitute teacher. They have created space for teachers and students to go pray, in a public high school, which is amazing. It's a beautiful thing. And I think that it's making us feel like as Muslims that we can have so much hope with so much negativity in this world. It just shows that we could come together from all walks of life, and it just creates a better life for all of us. So it's been making me more hopeful, a more faithful person in mankind.
I think we kind of with our experiences. So it's like when you think of what you do in Ramadan, that is based on, yes, several things. So yes, there's the mandatory, which Zalika went over, which is what we all do, right? But then it starts going into our own individual experiences, right? Of what it is that we are doing and how we're fostering, bringing in Ramadan. For example, one of the questions in the chat right now is there a certain age that parents have their kids participate in the fast in a Ramadan, or is it a personal choice for every household? What age that a parent, like what age parents have their kids begin participating in the fasting of Ramadan? And then the example was, is two young, right? So 2 is way too young.
Way too young, way too young. The age of puberty. The age of puberty, when you reach the age of puberty for men, young men and young girls, of course, is a little bit different. But when you reach the age of puberty, then this becomes obligatory. This becomes, you must start fasting. I will share a story though, since we're sharing stories as well, part of this discussion, that I started fasting before the age of puberty, just by seeing my parents fast, right? And it's just something that grew up in a Muslim household with both parents being Muslim. And when Ramadan came around, I wanted to do it. Now, was I fasting the whole day? No. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's not, at that point, it's not obligatory. So you may cheat and get a date, you know, it's a midday, but it's like, it's not a bad thing. You understand what I'm saying? Like, because it's not mandatory for you to fast at that age. So for those who have children, they're not, who are not under the age of puberty, they're trying to fast, but it's not obligatory for them to fast. I hope that answers the question that was posed.
Mashallah, it does. I think it does. It's not like, for example, young children, how we get them involved in Ramadan. My daughter and I, we decorated our home, right? So like that's how I'm like, Camila's Ramadan's coming, and last year we were in Qatar, and last year was Ramadan in a Muslim country is a completely different experience, right, than Ramadan here, you know, and especially as a convert, which is a part of my Black Muslim experience, right, and as a just coming in, it's much more, yeah. But anyway, so like for her, how I get her excited about Ramadan is by decorating. By, you know, Camila, just because we're in the Western world, she sees Christmas. She thinks Christmas is a person and Ramadan is a person. So these people, like, this is the birthdays that they have, and this is the time that they're having it in her mind, right? So it's kind of exposure, just exposing her to this experience, exposing her to all that it is. She makes a lot with me when she feels like it. She, you know, it's a very freeing time. It's you know, we don't really ask anything of our children until the age of puberty. And you share at what age you started the fasting aspect of Ramadan. I was an adult when I became Muslim, so I was fasting the first year. But those who grew up Muslim, what age did you guys start fasting?
I don't know. I think I was 10. I don't know. I think it was like 10 or something like that. 11 maybe.
I was about 6.
I was
about
7.
6. But I didn't fast the entire day. Like, my mom would have me eat breakfast, and then I went to a Muslim school. So it was like the cool thing to do. And I felt weird not fasting with everybody else. So I was about 6. And I remember a story I'll share. It was kindergarten. So maybe I was 5. No, it was 6. It was first grade. But anyway, it was Ramadan. And my mom had packed me like this awesome chicken salad sandwich, and, you know, everything on the side, little snacks and stuff like that. And I didn't realize that it was Ramadan or anything like that. All I know was that my teachers were not eating. And they were like, oh, we have to fast. And, you know, it's Ramadan. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, I can't eat this. And I remember in haste taking my lunch and throwing it in the garbage. And the teachers was like, why would you do that? I'm like, it's Ramadan. I can't eat this. You know, so they had to explain to me, like, you know, we don't want to throw the food away. And they told my mom, and my mom had to explain to me. But, you know, I had so much zest at that age, just wanting to be included. And I just wanted to fast. But I think I may have did my first real full fast around the age of maybe like 9, 10-ish, something like that. You know, and my daughter, she's 11. She's been fasting since about 8. Like the actual fast, waking up in the morning and not breaking it until the sunset. She's been doing it about 8 now, you know, and it's because she wants to. If at any time I tell her, you know, if you don't feel well or anything like that, like, you can break your fast. This is not like punishment. This is not forced. You know, this is something that she wants to do. So I encourage it.
I think it just also goes to show that children, they adapt their environment, right? Whatever surrounds them seeps in. So the fact that you wanted to fast, because while there's opposite stories of, I'm in public school, all my friends are not fasting, I don't want to fast because I'm surrounded by a bunch of people that don't understand, So it's interesting, the experience that we have based on our environments that we're in. So I had another question. The question is, during prayer, do you typically pray for the same thing? And are there different prayers for different times of the day? So Zalika mentioned the 5. So one of the things that I wanted to mention, I want to say it's when she mentioned the 5 salats, right? So salat, oftentimes I'll tell people, make dua for me, Muslim or not. I'm like, make dua for me, right? And dua is, and salat are both prayers, but they're different types of prayers. So salat is more of, that's the fajr, right? The 5 pray. When you hear a Muslim supposed to pray 5 times a day, that's the salat. That's Fajr, that's Zalika was talking about, Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, right? Those are the 5 salats. But then there's dua where you can say like, God grant me what's good. God, please protect me. God, but those quick prayers, right? We call those duas. And for me, they are different. My duas are different. And there are certain things that I say in my salats that are the same, right? So our salats are the same, and we may recite certain surahs that are the same, and have certain similar intentions, but each prayer, each salat is supposed to have a different experience. You're supposed to bring, your entire self to each of those aspects. Did anyone else want to add anything?
I just would say that there are supplications or du'as that for almost anything, basically, because Al-Islam is a comprehensive way of life. So there's a dua before you leave the house, dua before you enter the house. There's a dua before you start your car, you drive your car, because we don't know what could possibly happen when we're driving or when we possibly leave our house, So there is, and when you study, when you have an exam, there's a supplication that you may say before you take your test or while you're studying for an exam. So there's supplications very much for everything. When you're sick, during this time, we're also advised to visit the sick, make sure the sick is okay, take care of the sick, whatever they need, take care of the elderly, those who are in need, the elderly, the children, the orphans, etc. And also the another aspect here that is additional to that, that we want to make sure that we're being intentional with our prayers, being very intentional, especially during this month. At this juncture, you ask God for basically anything that you need in your life. If you need a spouse, there's a dua for that too. Like if you're looking to get married, you want to get married, there's a dua for that too. This is a time to ask the Creator for those things that you need in your life too. Not only just are we praying du'as for mercy, forgiveness, and salvation and protection from the hellfire, but we're also asking Allah, the Creator, to give us success in our daily lives, and protect us when we are out and about in these streets, in these streets, man. So because these streets is crazy, so we need protection in these streets. Everyone wants protection in these streets. So God is your protector. He's your best protector. Yeah, I think we have a sport. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say, the biggest purpose in saying these du'as, right, is to always keep the devil away, keep the shaitan away from us, right? Because every action that we have, every intention that we have, the devil's always could have an impact on your decision making, right? So making the dua is always just keeping your intention clear and clean, and making sure that you're doing with purity, and that Allah will bless you, right? And even my favorite dua is the one I make before I go to sleep, right? Because you never know, it could be your last sleep. So that's one of my favorite duas. But yeah, the intention is to always make sure that you do it with clarity and clearness, with the intention of God with you.
Shaniyat, can you continue and answer this question? I think for us. So how would any recommendations for how an athlete can successfully fast during Ramadan?
Yeah, this was a tough one for me, actually. When I first started playing, I remember I was dehydrated, and it took me a long time to learn. It was pretty difficult, but I one of my favorite rugby players I watched over time. His name is Sonny Williams. He's also a Muslim convert from New Zealand, and he has really learned to utilize training and fasting during Ramadan to base his capabilities. The biggest thing with athletes, I would say, is you have to be disciplined, right? So making sure that you do wake up in time for Zuhr and you get your early meal out the way. You want to make sure you're hydrated the night before. So my biggest advice is to make sure you're hydrated. You have electrolytes after you break your fast at night. I've been staying away from the fried foods, just trying to eat clean. And that way, late at night is when I train. So right before I do my last player of the night, I'll get my late workout in, and I'll be good. So you just have to really find the foods. The biggest thing is nutrition. So find the right food for you that will hold you up for a whole day. That way you have enough energy to work out at night. And to be honest, there's really little of a difference from your performance. So there's a way around it. It does take discipline and time and commitment, but it is possible.
I just want to add something towards that, but just for clarity purposes. So you mentioned the natural, something clean and natural foods, and I think that's important because when we break iftar, when we have iftar, we are having fruit, preferably a date, because that's what the Prophet had when he broke his fast, dates. And science now has come back years later, centuries later, and said, well, dates are good for this, dates are good for that. So everything that the Prophet was doing, there was a science. And in the Quran is the science behind the foods and vegetables we're supposed to eat. But that's another conversation. But at iftar, though, we're to have fruits, vegetables, fruits that have not been altered by man. You know, we hear about this genetically modified GMOs, all these different things that people are playing around with our food chain. We are supposed to have things that are natural, you know, when we break our fast, and that's so important to do. You know, is to take the natural. Then you have your dinner, obviously, or like we normally do. We normally have our dinner like everyone else. It's a little bit later in the evening, perhaps, for some people. But also stay hydrated during the night. It's so important, you know. Not drinking too much water, because obviously if you want to go back to sleep or go to sleep at some point, you know, you want to be getting up, running to the bathroom. But you do want to get hydrated in the night and when you get up for Zuhr. So therefore, you know, when you go out to your day, you won't be dehydrated, you know. And those little, remember, if we go into the mosque, we get those little bottles of water like this size, like the almost like the juice jugs you get from the store, almost these size. If you crush like four of those little small water bottles, that's good, you know. But not drink it all at once. Not drink it all at once, because, you know, of course, you don't want to upset your stomach and go to the bathroom too much in the night. So just try to stay natural as much as we can when we eat during the month of Ramadan. And, you know, as Muslims, we know we believe in eating halal anyway. You know, that's, you know, halal being permissible. You know, things that are sacrificed with the name of Allah, and on it before we serve it to the people. You know, and it's grown with no GMOs, no hormones. That also takes it out of being halal. I know I'm preaching to people that maybe not know, but I'm just saying that there's some people that eat halal, like even non-Muslims eat halal, which is good. I welcome you to do that, please. It's healthy for you. But there's certain procedures that have to go before in place. So for that product, for that thing to be halal. And one of those things I'm so big on is that some people get it twisted. And raising your livestock with hormones and GMOs is not considered halal. So we want to eat clean as much as we can. So, especially during Ramadan, we want to eat clean as much as we can.
On the topic of food, I'm going to ask this question, and then I'm going to ask two questions. And the second question is going to lead us, I believe, into our own personal experiences of how we grew up, in terms of like how we practice our Ramadan. Right. So the first question was, is there ever a point where you think about the list of food you'll eat once you can break your fast? You're like, I'm starving, I can't wait to eat this, da da da. And then when it's time to eat, you're not able to eat even a quarter of your list. Like your eyes are bigger than your stomach. Is that continuously? Does that happen to you guys? So that's the first question. And the second question was, do you guys have accommodations for work because of Ramadan? So it's a food question, and then there's a accommodation question.
So the food question for me, absolutely. This is why I intentionally this Ramadan has decided not to eat so much, because what was starting to happen was that my eyes were bigger than my stomach, and then I was wasting food, and that's so counterproductive. Because if Ramadan is about, remembering those are less fortunate and all that, and I'm just sitting here wasting food, then that's no bueno. So for me, like oftentimes there are times where I might just eat a salad, drink some water, and then I'm good, because my stomach has shrank so much throughout the day. So that's definitely has been a learning experience for me. The same in the morning too. When I'm eating, I can't eat too heavy because it's so early in the morning. My stomach can't digest that much. I used to want to have pancakes, sausage, this and that, and it just was too much. So I find for me a simple bowl of oatmeal with some fruit in it, it holds me over. In regards to working, so this is my first Ramadan working from home, which is beautiful, because all my other Ramadans, I've grew up Muslim, so all my other Ramadans in my other jobs, it was like, I had to go to the manager and prep them, So excuse me, starting either the first or the second, depending on the moon, it's going to be Ramadan, and I'm going to need to take my break at X amount of time instead of at this scheduled time, which meant that now they had to go to their superiors and see if they can accommodate me alternating my break times to fall in line with Ramadan. There were jobs that I had where I worked nights that fell during the times when I had to break my fast. And some jobs have requirements where like everyone's break has to be done by, let's say 5. But if it's not time to break fast until say 7:30, now I need special permission. So it can be tricky depending on where you're working and what type of supervision and management that you have. I'm very grateful for where I work currently now. They give us space for us to just basically be who we are. Like we had a session where we spoke about Ramadan. We're virtual, but we still had a session where we spoke about Ramadan and put everyone on the same page. Everyone who had questions, they got a chance to get them answers. There's a lot of misconceptions. So, I do appreciate jobs who allow for their employees to fully practice and be comfortable, if they want, instead of having their breaks or however they want to alternate their Ramadan schedules, to be accommodating. So it can go either way in the workforce. It kind of really depends on the nature of your work and what type of management that you have.
That spoke to the second part of the question, because they asked, outside of Ramadan, are there also accommodations for prayer times as well?
Again, I mean, legally they are supposed to. It all depends on the person and how hard they fight for it. In my last jobs, it really, I had to be the one to like say, I need this prayer time. I need a space to pray. I've been in jobs where there really wasn't a place to pray, so it's maybe I'm going outside or I'm going in the parking lot or something like that. And I kind of had to just sit down and pray as opposed to standing up. We have different motions that we're standing up, sitting down, kneeling. So I had to kind of figure it out. But legally, jobs are supposed to provide you with time to pray and a space to pray. Sometimes they'll say, well, hey, you got to use your scheduled break time for it. And sometimes they'll allow you extra break time. It just all depends on the management.
Yeah, I mean, I touched upon it earlier with how the school I work at, they create that space for Muslim students and teachers and faculty to go pray. But even after that, I had to go to practice in the evening time. So my rugby team, they accommodate to me, where if I have to, leave out for a little bit to go pray, they let me, and it's never an issue. So, Muslims are really resourceful people we find a place and time to always make sure that we do our salat, because it's such an important part of, a pillar of Islam, and especially during Ramadan, because it's, if we are not able to pray, our fasting really doesn't count without prayer. So we do need to continuously pray. So I do think that we do live in a world now where it's becoming more accepted with these customs to, find our spaces to pray. So I haven't had an issue, recently. I remember as a kid, it's hard because it does depend on the management and the job, the type of job. But for the most part, mashallah, I've been blessed to find people who really accept them.
For me, never really had a bad experience at work in terms of Ramadan. I think it was just, just communication, being clear and being intentional with your supervisors, letting them know what time it is, and also I think for me too, since I like to be a people's person, so like people kind of knew who I was, and also knew that I was Muslim as well, and not just a practicing Muslim. And I had jobs where there were other Muslims who were on the same floor as me, some say, worked in the same building as me, so that also made it easier to advocate as well. My last job working at the DEP in Lefrak, the masjid is literally in Lefrak City. There's a masjid on the bottom of the building, and all of us used to go for Jummah, for our Friday prayer, during lunch. So 1 o'clock, we eat, be out. Like we go to Jummah, it would be 30 minutes khutbah, 30 minutes speech or whatnot. We pray, we out, we eat lunch, back to work. That work was very seamless. For Eid, like after Ramadan, we have our Eid, which is Eid al-Fitr, which is to commemorate the fact that we completed 29 to 30 days of this fasting period. And I told my job, I said, listen, I'm not going to be here because it's Eid. They said, okay, fine, just let us know, and you can take your days, whatever days you need. It was always accommodating, and I think, as Zalika said, is also just you advocating for yourself too at the end of the day, because again, most people still don't know. They honestly don't know, and and honestly, we're still in this society where Muslim life is still frowned upon. We still have Islamophobia that we still have to battle, even as Black Muslims, believe it or not, that still exists. And it has been being Black and being Muslim is like two traumas put together, two stigmas put together, basically, practicing. So it's always been a fight, uphill battle, but I think it's been pretty good for me in terms of that. What was the other question again?
Do you ever
Aasiyah?
It was about food. So do you ever
food?
Where you feel like I'm about to eat all this, and then it's time to break fast, and then all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, food. Oh yeah, man, food. I like food, man. I'm a foodie. I love food, but
you always you can always eat. You don't see a lot of food in there all of a sudden at iftar time. You can't eat all that. So you're always.
No, I me personally, like, at this point, as I got older, it's like, started to realize, more conscientious, more intentional about the fast and the importance of Ramadan. So, I kind of don't eat a lot. I just honestly don't feel hungry. After I eat iftar, I honestly don't feel hungry to squeeze in a third meal. Some people do. I'm not going to sit up here and say that I didn't do that in the past, but I just don't do that now because I honestly feel comfortable after iftar. And Zohor, I eat a bowl of oatmeal, some blueberries, a lot of water, some juice, and then that's it. I feel comfortable after that. And I think it's all about us. The Prophet's saying is that the sunnah, the tradition of the Prophet is not to eat till your belly is full. And because the like Zalika said, there are people out here that are hungry and they're not eating. They may not even squeeze in one meal. So it's like just to be conscious of that, and not to waste food during Ramadan, to be sustainable, and not to overconsume during the month of Ramadan is important.
So to answer the initial question of accommodation, it's interesting because for as Bilal touched on a little bit, the trauma of being Black Muslim in this world is rough, right? And so like for me, I remember working at this public school. I'm not gonna put them out there, but I remember working at this school, and I used to, and I prayed. I stepped out. It was during Ramadan, and I stepped out to pray in like a room next to my classroom. And sometimes when my kids would like take bathroom breaks, so they were younger kids, they would go out with the assistant teacher and take bathroom breaks. I would pray inside the class. I was told I wasn't allowed to do that, right? And I wouldn't be able to do that. But then, like a couple weeks later, we had a mandatory staff meeting for Christmas where we sat in the cafeteria and sung Silent Night. And I was so hurt because I was called to the principal's office and basically reprimanded for praying in this building. And you know, and so I'm not welcome in that. I didn't feel necessarily welcome in that working space. I of course left. And like oftentimes, like, you know, as I said, I wasn't born Muslim. And so my family was not very accepting of me, my conversion, right? They were like, what, you Muslim? Wait, you know, you not, like, we don't do that, right? And I told you guys I'm Jamaican. So my family was like, what? You know, that's crazy. But for me, it was like, no, this is my path of peace. This is my path to peace. This is my path of peace. This is my peaceful path. Like, this is what I chose. And so it was very hard. And even today I've been Muslim for over 10 years. And there's even today, people like, oh, you doing that Muslim thing? Oh, you doing that Muslim thing, right? And while my path may not always be perfect, it is my path to strive for, right? And so I wanted us to end with this last question that we can go through. If anyone else, feel free to drop. We'll drop in the thread and we'll address it later. I'm sure all of us will be in the group. But for our last question, so in what ways can non-Muslims support and encourage their Muslim friends during Ramadan? The first thing I'm gonna say is if you know, don't be like, you know, let's go out and like go do some stuff, right? Don't do that. Don't invite your Muslim friends out to do stuff you know they're not supposed to be doing during Ramadan. That's the first thing I'm gonna say. All right, go ahead, guys. What are some ways? And let's make it brief, maybe a minute each. In what ways can Muslims support and encourage their Muslim friends during Ramadan? Last question.
I'll just quickly say, they can always text us in the morning and ask if we're up to eat, because I know I welcome wake up texts, because there's times where I'm just tired and I oversleep, you know, so they want to, hey, you know, my friend, she's fasting for Ramadan. I'm going to support her and I'm going to check in and see if she's up. If you happen to wake up, go to the bathroom. And then,
what time is that wake up text, Zalika?
That wake up text for me is about 4. Well, around 4, maybe a follow up at 4:15, make sure I'm up. You know, I mean, and I'm talking about non-Muslim friends who are like close to me, who I would know who would do something like that for me. I don't expect just anybody to roll up at 4 in the morning and be like, hey girl, you up? You know, but that's a quick way that you can help support me.
No, I would say just be mindful, be intentional. Like, you know, like I like the text aspect, as Zalika said, the texting is cool. And just, I would just say also check up. Like sometimes, you know, we welcome checking up on us throughout the day. Like, you know, you never know, just, you know, calling, you know, people don't call people no more. Like everyone wants to text and Facebook people. That's cool and all, but like, call us to let us know, are you alive over there, man? Like, you all right, man? Like, you're not dehydrated or something? Like, you know, like honestly, just check up on us. Like, you know, make sure that we're good. You need anything, you know, something, you know, maybe treat us for iftar. You know, treat your friends for iftar. Cash up us a little money for the iftar, man. You know what I mean? We'll take it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just, you know, the solidarity and being an ally, right? You know, the texts are amazing. Checking all is always great. Even if we're out together, right, and there's an instance where we feel like we're being discriminated against because we're Muslim, you know, be a good friend and stand up for your Muslim friend, right? That's always good. Come over for iftar. I love having friends, neighbors come over and just
Yes.
share a nice,
Mhm.
peaceful time. And I think it's just we get the chance to share something that is so meaningful to us. I think that's always beautiful.
Yeah, Muslims are always trying to invite somebody to iftar. Come
Hey
in.
man, we're a big family, man. It's like this Al Islam is a family, man. It's for the importance of family, man. It's so we welcome people to. It's like this session here. We welcome people to learn and to grow with us, and it's a welcoming way of life. So, yeah.
So this was wonderful. One of the comments said, "Thank you for sharing about your paths and opening minds in the process." So Shaniyat, Zalika, Bilal, thank you guys so much for this platform. Bilal, DJ Net says she got you. She got you on the
Okay, drop with the cash out, DJ Net. Thank you.
And thank you guys. The Black Resource Network, thank you. Thank you, Aaliyah, for this platform, this space, for allowing us to share, to share our Black Muslim, our Black Queens Muslim experience. So thank you guys. Have a beautiful night.
Bye, everybody. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
With the greeting of peace.
Assalamu alaikum.
Warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.